everyone, a very good morning. It just past 8 this Thursday morning and we are back again with all the news and breakfast news. You're with us here on DD India. I am Nancy Kohli and with me is Anil Thomas. Good morning, Anil. How are you doing?
Doing pretty well today.
All right.
Well, lots to look forward to in the next 60 minutes. We get you the latest from the world of politics, business, sports and entertainment. That's not all. Today is 1st October. We are into the last quarter of this particular year and the first day of the last quarter of the year. It's an action-packed day purely in comes to lot of observance being done on this day. It's World Music Day. That's not, it's also World Coffee Day, and it's a day where we care for the older persons. So it's important, especially in these times, in these COVID times, we need to care for the old and the elderly. We need to protect them because the pandemic is spreading and we all need to take care of them. That's not all, but also remember it's World Coffee and also World Music Day. So do remember to at least play your favorite tune on this particular day while we get started on Breakfast Show with the top stories that we are tracking this hour.
The guidelines for reopening allow cinemas, theatres, multiplexes to open with up to 50% of their seating capacity from 15th of October. The state and the union territory governments given flexibility to take a call on reopening schools and allowing the gatherings above 100 people outside containment zones after the 15th.
Well, suspension of scheduled international passenger flights extended till October 31st. International cargo flights and passenger flights approved by the government will continue. COVID RT-PCR testing facility now available at New Delhi International Airport.
India hits out at Pakistan in the Human Rights Commission in Geneva. India says Pakistan's attempt to spread falsehood against India will not change the truth. Pathetic state of affairs for journalists and human rights defenders in Pakistan is well known.
Environment ministers of Delhi, Haryana, Punjab, Rajasthan and Uttar Pradesh to meet today will discuss measures to tackle the problem of stubble burning, which causes severe pollution every year.
Election Commission likely to issue the Gazette notification today regarding the upcoming Bihar Assembly elections. The poll panel will also be holding a press conference at Patna after its two-day visit to review the poll preparedness.
India continues to witness a high daily rate of recovery from COVID-19. Several states and union territories report more recoveries than new cases. The recovery rate at 83.33% with a total of 52 lakh people recovering from COVID-19.
In sports news, Serena Williams and Victoria Azarenka crash out from the French Open. Rafael Nadal stays on course for 13th title in Paris. Stanislas Wawrinka to reach the round of 32.
Well, after a look at all the headlines, it's time now to look at the stories in detail, starting first out with the reopening or unlocking 5.0, all the details, all the guidelines from Unlock 5.0. Let's now begin by taking a look at that. The Ministry of Home Affairs has issued new guidelines for the opening up of more activities in area outside the containment zones. In these guidelines, they come into effect from today. The process of reopening of activities has been extended further. Cinemas, theatres, multiplex will be permitted to open from the 15th of October with up to 50% of the sitting capacities, for which SOPs will be issued by the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. Business to business, that's B2b exhibitions, will be permitted to open, for which SOPs will be issued by the Department of Commerce. Swimming pools being used for training of sports persons will be permitted to open. Entertainment parks and similar places will be permitted to open. For reopening of schools and coaching institutions, states and union territory governments have been given the flexibility to take a decision after 15th of October in a graded manner. However, higher education institutions only for research scholars, that's PhD and postgraduate students in science and technology stream require laboratory experimental works will be permitted from the 15th of October. State union territory governments have been given the flexibility to permit social, academic, sports, entertainment, culture, religious, political functions and other congregations beyond the limit of 100 persons outside the containment zones after the 15th of October. In closed spaces, a maximum of 50% of the hall capacity will be allowed with a ceiling of 200 persons. Lockdown shall continue to be implemented strictly in the containment zones till the 31st of October. There shall be no restrictions on interstate and intrastate movement of persons or goods, and no separate permissions, approvals, e-permits will be required for any such movements.
And as per the latest guidelines, all the international arriving passengers can now avail on-arrival COVID-19 testing facility at the Delhi airport. The on-arrival testing facility will help the passengers seeking exemption from institutional quarantine if tested negative. Earlier, only the passengers with further domestic connection were allowed to have the RT-PCR test done on the spot. Rest of the passengers were required to produce a COVID-19 negative report done 96 hours prior to boarding the flight. The Delhi airport has become the first airport in India to set up a COVID-19 testing facility at the International Airport Terminal 3 for the international arriving passengers.
The suspension of scheduled international passenger flights has been extended till October 31st. The Director General of Civil Aviation said that the international scheduled commercial passenger flights from India will remain suspended until 31st of October. However, international cargo flights as passenger flights approved by the government will continue. The civil aviation regulator said that the international scheduled flights may be allowed on selected routes on case-to-case basis. The DGCA circular also said that the suspension does not affect the operation of international all-cargo operations and flights specifically approved by it. Scheduled international passenger service have been suspended in India since March 23rd due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
And let's now go across to our colleague Arun Sharma, who's been keeping a track of developments on that front. Arun, good morning. Vis-a-vis the Unlock 5 guidelines or reopening, guidelines there, of course, many relaxations further given and a lot of flexibility also given to the states to decide to take a call, for example, like reopening of schools. So in that sense, a lot of flexibility and responsibility also now on the states as far as Unlock 5 guidelines are concerned.
Good morning, Nancy and Anil. Of course, now this phase of unlock is again an extension of the earlier unlock part. Now we have seen that gradually more sectors are being opened up. But when we talk about the big highlights of this unlock phase or the reopening phase, it is about the B2b exhibitions. That is what I look at as. Because earlier the B2b exhibitions were not allowed. That means business to business exhibitions were not allowed. But now in this phase of unlock or the reopening phase, the B2B meetings and the B2B exhibitions will be allowed. That means there are various sectors, be it textiles, be it automotive, be it various other sectors. They do hold various exhibitions as far as the B2B meetings and B2B exhibitions are concerned. So again, we'll be witnessing all those press conferences, all those business to business exhibitions as far as in this phase of reopening is concerned. So that's number one. Number two is, of course, about this reopening of the school. States and UTs have been given more power as far as reopening of the schools and colleges are concerned.
Yes.
Now, state government in consultation with various school authorities, Department of Education will be formulating these SOPs as far as the reopening of the schools are concerned. Now, in the last phase of unlock, we have seen that the government gave permission to the PhD scholars, to the postgraduate students to go ahead with the experiment part, or to even they can also attend the laboratory, and of course they can do experience or wherever they require an hands-on experience for experiment is concerned. They were allowed in that part. But now states and UT will be in a position to formulate strategies
Okay.
If in case they feel that schools can be opened up in graded manner, they can go ahead with that part. Last but not the least, Nancy, it is about the cinema halls. In last phase of unlock, we have seen that the government gave permission as per a shooting of the films and various TV series was given by the government. And now in this phase of unlock, we have seen that government has given permission for opening up of cinema halls, multiplexes with a capacity of 50% of their original capacity. That means if in case a cinema hall has a capacity to accommodate 200 people, now they'll be in a position to accommodate close to 100 people with proper social distancing and social distancing and physical distancing measures. So yes, it's an important part, and now this unlock is one more step as far as reopening of the economy is concerned.
Okay, Arun, looking at purely this particular, unlock 5.0, do you feel more sectors here are opening up, especially when it comes to B2B, meetings and conferences that will be allowed? It will open many sectors or give many sectors at least breathing space now to survive.
Why B2B is important? Because for any kind of business activity to take place, it is important to showcase your product. The B2B exhibition gives the platform to various entrepreneurs, innovators, startups to conduct such meetings. Online medium, of course, is a preferable medium, and most of the business entrepreneurs and business communities adopted to the mode of online interaction and online showcasing the product. But the B2B exhibitions, the physical a meeting, that was a necessary. But yes, by keeping in mind all the social distancing measures, by inviting a limited number of people so that social distancing can be ensured, all these things will have to be kept in mind. Now the Ministry of Commerce will come out with the guidelines as to how the business to business meetings will be organized. But yes, it's a big sigh of relief for all those entrepreneurs and business community members who are looking forward to showcase their product as far as B2B exhibitions are concerned.
Okay. All right, Arun, thanks very much for joining us for the moment and sharing all those inputs and perspective with us. Thanks very much. Let's now move on to news now from poll-bound Bihar. A full election commission team led by the Chief Election Commissioner is in Bihar to review the poll preparedness. The election commission team met the representatives of the political parties in Patna. The political representatives from various political parties including the Congress, Janata Dal United, CPIM and the LJP made suggestions to the election commission team. The EC team has also asked for suggestions from all the political parties and individual candidates about each and every constituency and polling booth in Bihar.
Well, our correspondent from Patna, Salman Haider, joining us with more updates. Salman, today is the concluding day of that 3-day visit by the full team of Election Commission there to Patna. What should we expect today? When is the press conference by the Election Commission? Also, how have been the representation that the political parties? Each political party was given a window to present its representative before the Election Commission team. How did that go about? Give us more details on both fronts.
It went very well as far as the meeting with political parties are concerned. Anil, now today's schedule of the Election Commission team is to visit Gaya, where the election is going to be held in first phase only, and the notification for 71 seats is going to be issued today. So the political parties had concerned about the safety of the voters and safe voting, polling, a smooth polling process. And also some parties showed concern about the violation of MCC, Model Code of Conduct also.
Right.
Mainly the political parties were of the view that the election time, duration should be increased from 11 hours to 12 hours, from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And among other things, RJD wanted to voters get insured for the voting process so that they are confident while voting and they come out to vote fearlessly due to COVID challenge.
Yes, absolutely. And talking about the COVID challenge, any discussions, consultations that have taken place between the EC team and the political parties as to really be ensuring a safe and secured environment for the voters to come out and vote in large numbers. as far as social distancing, the physical distancing, all the apparatus that should be put into place in view of the COVID-19 pandemic. Bihar remembers the first day to go to polls amidst these challenging times.
As I said earlier, main concern of the political parties was the safety of the voters. The RJD raised the issue of getting all the voters insured and free medical treatment to if anyone is found COVID positive after exercising their franchise, so that this is as confidence building measures, so that more and more voters come out and exercise their right to vote. Yes, Anil.
Okay, also Salman, looking at the way Unlock 5.0 guidelines have come, now more people are allowed to come out and meet. Having said that, have the political parties in the fray in the assembly elections in Bihar welcome this particular move, especially when it comes to guidelines for more and more people to come together, especially for political rallies in election season?
Of course they are, because many of the parties didn't find it a level playing field as far as online canvassing is concerned. So they wanted that more people are allowed in public meetings so that they can convince or canvass for their respective candidates. So it is a welcome move, and the political parties have across the party lines welcomed this move of Unlock 5 for relaxing, more relaxations given in Unlock 5. Yes. And now the situation is now for today's as well as today's program of Election Commission team is concerned. It is
Salman.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Yes.
Okay. All right, Salman, thanks very much for joining us for the moment and filling us in with all those details. We'll, of course, be tracking all the developments on that front as far as the Bihar Assembly elections are concerned. The Election Commission team, of course, they're in Patna meeting with the political parties and various political representatives. Let's now move on. The environment ministers of Delhi, Haryana, Punjab and Rajasthan and Uttar Pradesh will meet today to discuss and tackle the problem of stubble burning that causes severe pollution every year. The virtual meeting will also be attended by the Environment Secretaries of Delhi and the 4 neighbouring states, along with the members of the pollution control boards and corporations like the NDMC and the DDA. The meeting will review the work done by the states in the last 2 years to handle the issue of crop residue burning. Now, despite a ban on stubble burning in Punjab and Haryana, farmers continue to defy it as there is a short window between harvesting of paddy and the sowing of wheat.
Well, India hit out at Pakistan at the UN Human Rights Commission in Geneva. Exercising its right to reply at the UNHRC, India's first secretary at United Nations in Geneva, Pawan Bhade, said that the incessant efforts on its part to malign India in all international forums is not going to change the fact that hundreds of journalists and human rights defenders die each year in Pakistan.
Demonstrates its own hollowness when it comes to accountability and justice for oppressing those standing for their rights. The pathetic state of affairs for journalists and human rights defenders is well known when the deep state could make prominent journalists disappear in broad daylight at the heart of Pakistan. We are not baffled that Pakistan does well when it comes to inciting hatred against religious minorities and targeting our leadership with hate speeches. Its well-cherished and inherited culture of hatred makes it the perfect candidate for carrying forward the legacy of intolerance against anybody having modern views on human rights.
Well, India also highlighted Pakistan's hate speeches against Indian leadership and the situation of minorities in the country at the United Nations Human Rights Council.
Its own hollowness when it comes to accountability and justice for oppressing those standing for their rights. The pathetic state of affairs for journalists and human rights defenders is well known when the deep state could could make prominent journalists disappear in broad daylight at the heart of Pakistan. We only could imagine the fate of those journalists and human rights defenders in territories under its control. Silence is the apt word for them affected through enforced disappearances, murders, detentions, custodial deaths, and torture in Balochistan, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Sindh, and Pakistan-occupied parts of Indian Union territories of Jammu, Kashmir, and Ladakh. We are not baffled that Pakistan does well when it comes to inciting hatred against religious minorities and targeting our leadership with hate speeches. Its well-cherished and inherited culture of hatred makes it the perfect candidate for carrying forward the legacy of intolerance against anybody having modern views on human rights.
Well, to get more updates on that particular story, our correspondent Amritpal Singh joining us this morning on the phone line. Amritpal, why does the world need lessons, especially from a country like Pakistan, which is known as the epicenter of terrorism, and time and again the UN platform being used to spread this kind of falsehood? Why is it being tolerated in the first place, and how long will this continue?
Well, UNHRC is an international forum, Anil. Every country has the right to raise what they raise. But yes, you're right that it is there is duplicity in what Pakistan says when it raises the issue of human rights. In India, then India, in its right to reply, has rightfully called it out, saying that they've made a mockery of the UNHRC by raising this. But I think apart from that, there is nothing more that India or the other participants in the conference can do. India can reply and call out Pakistan, which our first secretary posted in the Geneva mission has listed out that enforced disappearances, custodial deaths, hatred against ethnic minorities in Pakistan, and he listed out the provinces of Balochistan, Pakhtunkhwa, Sindh, and the Pakistan-occupied territories of Jammu and Kashmir, saying that how that track record of Pakistan is for the world to see. So basically exposing Pakistan's duplicitous stand on the matter.
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll leave it there. That particular story there, Pakistan once again using the United Nations platform to propagate its views. It has its right, but then strongly rebutted by the Indian representative there. Well, moving on, Prime Minister Narendra Modi participated in the Sri Somnath Trust meet via video conferencing. In a tweet, Prime Minister said, participated in the Sri Somnath Trust meeting via video conferencing. We discussed a wide range of issues pertaining to the temple, including the exceptional community service by the Trust during these times and harnessing of technology to enable more devotees to pray.
And well, today is President Ramnath Kovind's birthday, and on this occasion, Prime Minister Modi has tweeted and wished him a happy birthday. He said, I quote, "Birthday wishes to Rashtrapati Ji. His rich insights and wise understanding of the policy matters are great assets for our nation. He's extremely compassionate towards serving the vulnerable. I pray for his good health and long life," unquote. Information and Broadcasting Minister Prakash Javadekar also took to Twitter to wish the President. He wrote, I quote, "Happy birthday to the Honorable President Shri Ramnath Kovind Ji. Your dignified behavior has enhanced the prestige of this post. Under your guidance, the country may always continue on the path of progress," unquote. So while wishes they are pouring in from the leaders wishing President Ramnath Kovind a happy birthday, well, we also wish him a very happy birthday.
Well, we too take this opportunity at this point of time. The entire DD family takes this opportunity to wish the President a very happy birthday. Well, moving on to our next story, and the next story that we're looking at, Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke to Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath on the rape and murder of a girl from Hathras. He called for the strongest possible action. The Chief Minister has formed an SIT headed by the State Home Secretary to investigate the case and submit a report within the next 7 days. Here's a report.
The 19-year-old woman, whose death in a Delhi hospital 2 weeks after she was subjected to alleged brutal gang rape, was cremated near her home in Hathras on Wednesday night. UP police has registered an FIR charging the 4 accused of rape as demanded by the family.
प्राइमा फेसाई जो क्रोनोलॉजी है उसमें यही है कि ये घटना 14 सितंबर की है 9:30 बजे की, और 10:30 बजे पीड़िता अपने भाई के साथ वहाँ मौजूद थाने पे आई थी, और उनके भाई ने अपने स्वयं की हैंडराइटिंग में जो एप्लीकेशन दिया था उस पर अपराध पंजीकृत हुआ था। 22 तारीख को पहली बार पीड़िता ने अस्पताल में ट्रॉमा सेंटर में ये बताया कि उसके साथ गैंग रेप हुआ है, तो धाराएं परिवर्तित की गई और इनकी मृत्यु के बाद से धारा परिवर्तित की जाएगी 302 में। अब इसमें चार्जशीट लगाया जाएगा।
देखिए, जब ये शव लाया गया था लगभग 12:40-45 मेरी ओम प्रकाश जी से और इनके जो बेटे हैं उनसे बात हुई थी और उन्होंने सहमति दी थी कि रात को अंतिम संस्कार कर दिया जाए। उसके बाद जब यहाँ पर आया तो जो शव वाहन था उसके आगे लगभग 4-5 महिलाएं लेट गई थी। 10-15 मिनट हमारी बात हुई। उसके बाद शव वाहन को इनके घर पे लाया और लगभग 1-1.25 घंटे वहाँ पे खड़ा रहा, और उसके बाद इन्हीं की सहमति से उसका अंतिम संस्कार किया गया है और इन्हीं के परिजन वहाँ पे उपस्थित थे।
Anger among the villagers against the heinous crime was palpable. While the family demanded justice, the administration appealed for calm.
जो बेटी वाले हैं अपने दिल पर हाथ रख के देख लीजिए कि इसको न्याय मिलना चाहिए कि नहीं मिलना चाहिए। सर, हमारा तो ये एक आग्रह है कि इसको एक न्यायिक जांच मिलनी चाहिए, जो न्यायिक जांच मिलनी चाहिए जो कि जज के दायरे में हो।
सभी लोगों से निवेदन भी है कि सभी संवेदनशील होते हुए सभी पुलिस प्रशासन का इसमें सहयोग करने का कष्ट करें।
Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has constituted a 3-member SIT to probe the case, asking that the trial be conducted in a fast-track court. The SIT will be headed by Principal Home Secretary Bhagwan Swaroop. It has been asked to submit its report in 7 days. Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke with Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath and said strict action should be taken against the culprits.
जो पोस्टमार्टम रिपोर्ट अभी ऑफिशियली प्राप्त नहीं हुई है, जैसे ही प्राप्त होगी तो जो उसमें तथ्य होंगे उसके बेसिस पे आगे की कार्रवाई की जाएगी। इसके अतिरिक्त इस पूरे प्रकरण की जांच के लिए शासन ने एक उच्च स्तरीय SIT का गठन किया है। अगर कोई स्थानीय पुलिस के द्वारा कोई चूक हुई है तो उस चीज़ों को अंकित करें।
देखिए, इसमें आरोपियों को गिरफ्तार कर लिया और फास्ट ट्रैक में कोर्ट जा रहा है। मुझे लगता है कि थोड़ा सब्र करना चाहिए। वे सब लोग आरोपी जेल के शिक्षों में जाएंगे।
Women's rights activists have welcomed the announcements by the UP government.
चीफ मिनिस्टर ने जो SIT टीम गठन की है, मुझे लगता है कि उसका रिजल्ट हमें बहुत जल्दी मिलेगा। फास्ट ट्रैक में होने से पीड़िता के परिवार को न्याय मिल पाएगा।
Safdarjung Hospital, where the victim was under treatment, issued a detailed medical report at the time of death.
भर्ती के समय उनकी कंडीशन बहुत नाजुक थी। उन्हें सर्वाइकल स्पाइन इंजरी, क्वाड्रिप्लीजिया और सेप्टिसीमिया था। भरसक प्रयास और इलाज के बावजूद उनका कल 29 सितंबर को सुबह 6:55 पर देहांत हो गया।
As the news of her death spread, all sections of society, including politicians, sports and cine stars and activists, expressed their anguish, demanding justice for her. DD India.
Moving on now, the 19th meeting of the Working Mechanism for Consultation and Coordination on India-China Border Affairs was held on Wednesday. The two sides reviewed the current situation along the line of actual control in the India-China border areas and had frank and detailed discussions on the developments since 20th of August. The two sides noted that the agreement between the two foreign ministers earlier this month should be sincerely implemented to ensure disengagement at all the friction points along the LAC. Now, in this regard, the two sides also evaluated the outcome of the 6th Senior Commanders meeting on the 21st of this month. They emphasized the need to implement the steps outlined in the joint press release issued so as to avoid misunderstandings and to maintain stability on the ground. In this context, the need to strengthen communication, especially between the ground commanders, was also emphasized by both the sides. Both the sides also agreed to continue to maintain close consultations at the diplomatic and military level. They agreed that the next round of the meeting of senior commanders should be held at an early date.
And now an update on COVID-19 from across the country. India continues to report a trend of steadily declining active cases as a percentage of total positive cases. Presently, the active cases account for only 15.11% of the total positive cases in the country, standing at 9,40,441. From 33.32% on the 1st of August to 15.11% on the 30th of September, the active cases have less than half in the last 2 months. The continuous upward trajectory of India's recovery rate has touched 83.33% on Wednesday. The total recovery cases stand at 51,87,825. The gap between recovered cases and the active cases have now widened to 42 lakh. With increasing number of recoveries, this gap is continuously widening day by day. The case fatality rate currently stands at 1.57%. Well, after a look at the COVID numbers, what do we have next, Nancy?
Yes, absolutely. We're looking at our next section where we bring you news from across the globe.
Well, let us now take a look at updates on COVID-19 from across the world. The death toll across the world has surpassed the 10 lakh mark. As per the latest update, 10,18,000 people have died worldwide due to COVID-19, while over 3,41 lakh people have been affected by the COVID virus worldwide. As many as 2,54 lakh people have also recovered from COVID-19. United States continues to top the global list, being the worst hit country by the pandemic so far in terms of infections as well as fatalities. United States has the highest number of cases with over 74,44,000 cases or people infected, while more than 2,11,000 people have died due to COVID-19 in United States. In terms of death toll, Brazil stands second on the world chart with over 1,43,000 deaths being reported in the South American nation.
Now, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has urged the British people to obey rules imposed to tackle a rapidly accelerating second wave of the COVID-19 outbreak, cautioning that otherwise a tougher lockdown could follow. New cases of COVID-19 are rising by more than 7,000 per day in the UK, though Johnson is facing growing opposition to lockdown measures, which have wrought some of the worst economic damage in at least a century. Britain has reported over 42,143 deaths from the virus, the world's fifth highest total. Over 4.5 lakh cases of infections have been recorded so far.
Madrid residents are said to be barred from leaving the city except on essential trips under the new COVID-19 restrictions announced by the Spanish government yesterday. The city's borders will also be closed to outsiders for non-necessary visits under the new measures for large municipalities with high coronavirus infection rates. People will be allowed to cross municipal boundaries to go to work or school, visit the doctor or go shopping, but must remain within the city for leisure activities. Social gatherings will be limited to 6 people. Spain has recorded a total of 7,69,188 cases, more than any other nation in Western Europe. The total death toll in Spain stands at 31,791. Currently, the Madrid region is a hotbed for COVID-19 infections.
Now, the government of Brazil's Sao Paulo state has signed a $90 million contract to receive 46 million doses of a potential vaccine from China's Sinovac Biotech Limited. Sao Paulo, that's Brazil's most populous state, is one of the sites of phase 3 clinical trials for the vaccine. Sinovac's Latin America head said last week the results of the phase 3 trial should be out in 2 months. The Brazilian state governments have been aggressive in courting vaccine makers, with Bahia and Paraná states striking deals to test and buy or produce the Russian Sputnik V vaccine. Currently, Brazil has over 48.13 lakh cases of infection, while over 1.43 lakh people have lost their lives.
In Turkey, amid claims that actual figures is 19 times the official figure, the country's health minister yesterday acknowledged that the government did not publish the full number of daily positive COVID-19 cases, but only those who are symptomatic. The official number of daily coronavirus cases in Turkey has begun to decline in recent days after rising over the past several weeks. Politicians and medics have expressed doubt over the government's numbers, saying that the number of coronavirus cases is actually much higher. The Health Ministry changed the wording of the data it shares daily in July. As on July 29, the data showed that the daily number of new patients, while prior to that it showed the daily number of new cases. The death toll from coronavirus in Turkey stood at 8,195 as on Wednesday.
Moving on now, it was the great personality of Mahatma Gandhi, the father of the nation, that he got into the Indian public thoroughly. Understanding Gandhi's life is incomplete without mentioning Bengal, especially his connection with Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore and Shanti Niketan. In this special report, let's take a look at that.
In the course of his life, Mahatma Gandhi came in contact with many great personalities and institutions. It is pertinent to mention Mahatma's association with Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore and Shanti Niketan. Ironically, it was an Englishman, Charles Freer Andrews, who was the link between these two men.
पहले बार मिल नहीं पाए उस समय टैगोर कलकत्ता में आ गए थे और मार्च में जाकर, ये फरवरी का बात कर रहे हैं, फिर मार्च में जाकर उन्होंने फिर से कस्तूरबा जी अपना जो पत्नी हैं उनके साथ जाकर गुरुदेव के साथ शांति निकेतन में मिले। और गुरुदेव ये शब्द बार बार उन्होंने कभी रविंद्रनाथ या टैगोर ऐसा बताया नहीं, उन्होंने गुरुदेव ही कहते थे महात्मा गांधी रविंद्रनाथ टैगोर।
19 फरवरी वो जब लौट रहे थे तो गुरुदेव ने उनको बोला कि आपका पास मैं विश्व भारती के लिए सुरक्षा मांगता हूँ ताकि मेरा ये जो काम है इसको एक स्थायित्व मिले। गांधी जी ने ये बात को रखा था और इसका परिणाम हुआ था कि भारतवर्ष का, स्वाधीन भारतवर्ष का पहला केंद्रीय विश्वविद्यालय और इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ नेशनल इम्पोर्टेंस बना विश्व भारती।
Soon after Gandhi's return from South Africa, Andrews arranged for a week-long stay for Gandhi in Shanti Niketan, Tagore's famous intellectual institution. However, Tagore was not in Shanti Niketan during this period, but Gandhi stayed to meet and interact with the members. Gandhiji came to Visva Bharati again on March 6, 1915 and met Tagore for the first time. With the approval of Tagore, Gandhiji started a self-help movement in Shanti Niketan on March 10, 1915. The day is still observed in Shanti Niketan as Gandhi Punyaha. On that day, all students and teachers clean the campus themselves. Bureau Report, DD News.
Well, tracing Mahatma's footsteps, a daily series that we've started. We began with Madurai. Today our stopover is Shanti Niketan, where we brought you another chapter of Mahatma Gandhi's legacy.
Absolutely, and we'll continue to focus on that. But moving on now for the time being to our next segment, and that's the web section review, the web news review.
Well, all the latest from the World Wide Web and the social media stories that are trending. Abhishek will get us the latest on what's trending across the globe. Over to you, Abhishek.
Anil. Okay, so morning Nancy, and the first news that today I have picked is from Hindustan Times, and this is quite an innovation where the Uttarakhand Chief Minister has started a project which will generate energy from the pine needles. Due to forest fire, many trees, medical plants, vegetation gets destroyed, and a large number of wild animals are also affected. With this power generation project using pine needle, forest and animals will be protected, and this will also create employment opportunities, said the Chief Minister. And this is one of the major reasons also for the forest fire in this region, and one can only hope that this will help to subdue those effects. The next newspaper is the Indian Express, which has covered this story where Bengaluru has increased the fine for not wearing masks on people. The Karnataka government has hiked the penalty for not wearing a mask in public places to 1,000 rupees in urban areas of the state, while it remained to be 500 in rural areas. It was earlier 200 rupees, but in recent times people have been showing negligence by not wearing masks. Hence the fine has been increased from rupees 200, and it will be imposed and collected by police stations in each area, the minister has said. Next is the Economic Times, which says that India reports current account surplus for second straight quarter at 3.9% of GDP in April-June quarter, and this surplus is in the account of Q1 2020 and 21, and the current account balance, which represents the net of the country's export and imports of goods and services, and also payments made to foreign investors or inflows from them, are considered as an important indicator of the country's external sector. And with this indicator, one can see the robustness of Indian economy that is growing at a fast speed. Times of India has made news that rules to shield good Samaritan who come to rescue to road accident victims kick in. So many times we see that people who are lying on road because of some accident, people do care to them because they fear that some police action might happen to them also, or they may have to go through certain procedural problems, and they want to avoid it, and that's why they are not forthcoming to help other people who are in trouble. With this law, one can hope that people will be more forthcoming and more relaxed while helping other people. Business Standard says that Sensex has gained 95 points and Nifty has ended at 11,227, while FMCG stocks took advance, and other shares have rose 1%. The Indian markets have ended flatly with the positive bias on Wednesday, lifted mainly by banking sectors and FMCG stocks. The market is also doing relatively better, but not too better because of the international cues that it is receiving from across the globe, and we'll have to see how it fares today. So this was all for today's newspaper review. Back to you,
okay.
Anil and Nancy in the studio.
Thanks, Abhishek, very much for joining us and sharing with us the web news review. Let's move on now to our next segment. Well, that's the Biz Buzz.
Well, moving to the top story that we're looking at there in the field of business, the government has further extended the last date for filing of ITRs for the assessment year 2019-20 till 30th of November this year. Earlier, the last date for filing the belated and revised ITRs for the financial year ending on 31st of March 2019 was 30th of September. The Income Tax Department in a statement said that the decision was taken after further consideration of genuine difficulties being faced by the taxpayers due to the COVID-19 situation.
And let's now shift focus and take a look at all the sports news in a segment Sports Track. And first up from the French Open, 12-time champion Rafael Nadal eased into round 3 of the French Open by thrashing American Mackenzie McDonald with 6-1, 6-0, 6-3 win. Stanislav Wawrinka saw off Germany's Dominik Koepfer 6-3, 6-2, 3-6, 6-1 to advance to the third round of the French Open. The 16th-seeded Swiss suffered his only service break in the third set, which he went on to lose and break his opponent serve 5 times during the match to complete the victory in 2 hours and 8 minutes. And Serena Williams' search for a record-equaling 24th Grand Slam title will extend into another year after an Achilles tendon injury forced her to withdraw from the French Open on Wednesday. Serena was about to play against Bulgarian Svetlana Pironkova in the second round later, but after a warm-up decided the injury was too severe. Williams, the 3-time former champion at Roland Garros, said she may not play again this year. And 10th-seed Victoria Azarenka suffered a shock straight set defeat by world number 161 Anna Karolina Schmidlova in the French Open. Second round, the Belarusian reached the US Open final earlier this month but struggled on the clay against Slovak who won 6-2, 6-2.
So the French Open throwing its share of surprises. Serena Williams trying to equal that 24th Grand Slam there, getting beaten quite early in the tournament, while Rafael Nadal, the king of clay there, on course for his 13th title.
Yes,
we'll have to wait and watch. Are there any challenges to stop him this time around? Well, now moving on, staying with sports, Hockey India has taken several steps to boost sporting activities in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. J&K has been one of the first member units to resume activities with training camps in Srinagar, Baramulla and Poonch. Hockey India has issued a dossier which provides guidelines and protocols to educate athletes. Let's take a look at this report.
Athletes face for a sport like hockey, which is not as popular as cricket or football in the valley, it is hard to even form a team. Not only because there is not much interest, but also because of a lack of infrastructure. But slowly and steadily, all that is changing. With Government of India's directive of resumption of sporting activities, Hockey India has been working proactively with 31 state member units to help ease the process of returning to the sport.
हमने यहाँ पे हॉकी टूर्नामेंट ऑर्गेनाइज कराया है, जो हमारे कोच हैं रविराज सिंह, उन्होंने हमें ऑर्गेनाइज कराया है, जो हॉकी इंडिया हमें सपोर्ट कर रही है टू द कॉर्नर ऑफ द कंट्री। इसका हम बहुत थैंक यू करते हैं, हम इसका बहुत शुक्रिया अदा करते हैं हॉकी इंडिया जो हमें इतना सपोर्ट कर रहे हैं। आज कोविड-19 की वजह से कोई घर से निकल नहीं पा रहा है, इसकी वजह से जो इतना उन्होंने एफर्ट किया है।
हॉकी इंडिया that always provide us opportunity to get involved in this game. We are privileged that we are here supervised by our coach Ravi Raj Singh, who gave us practice in the morning and the evening each and every day. Due to the present pandemic going in the world, we take each and every guideline by the Government of India regarding the COVID-19.
Jammu and Kashmir has been one of the first member units to resume activities with training camps being held in Srinagar, Baramulla, Poonch among other districts. Baramulla also recently witnessed a local level tournament which was more of a celebration of returning to the sport. Over 30 young players actively took part in the coaching camp. In Srinagar, over 60 players attended a 3-week camp and the official will shortly host another camp in Poonch district.
5 सितंबर से 15 सितंबर तक कैंप लगा था, वो हमने खेला है, और जो 25 सितंबर से 5 अक्टूबर तक जो कैंप चल रहा है वो भी हम खेल रहे हैं, और जो गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से कोविड-19 के गाइडलाइंस दिए गए हैं जैसे मास्क लगाना एक्स्ट्रा, तो वो हम सब फॉलो कर रहे हैं।
A 20-page dossier by Hockey India provides guidelines and protocols to educate the athletes. As a result of these proactive measures taken by the Federation, the resumption of activities has been a smooth process.
हम गाइडलाइंस जो है वो फॉलो कर रहे हैं, कोच साहब हमें बता रहे हैं कि गाइडलाइंस फॉलो करो, हम फॉलो कर रहे हैं गाइडलाइंस, और मैं शुक्रिया अदा करता हूँ हॉकी इंडिया का जो ऐसे इवेंट हमारे लिए ला रहे हैं, और हम चाहते हैं कि ऐसे इवेंट और आगे भी फ्यूचर में लाएं हमारे लिए।
A slew of initiatives and sporting infrastructure saw a renewed push for the game, and it is expected to usher in a new dawn in the valley. Taposh Bhattacharya's report, TD India.
And after that report, let's now move on, take a look at our next segment on the health story of the day. International Day of Older Persons is being observed today across the world. So here's a report as to how to create age-friendly environments and also promote healthy aging. Take a look.
Aging is a natural process. Active aging is the process of optimizing opportunities for health, participation and security in order to enhance quality of life as people age.
We have to prepare for active aging. You have to plan for your engagement after 60 or 70s. So engagement has to be purposeful, it has to be meaningful, it should give you happiness. If I give example after 60 or 70 engagement, it can be nurturing your grandchildren, it can be teaching underprivileged school children. Second thing is your eating habit. Eating should be frequent, less, more of protein and roughage. Exercise of your muscles should comprise of three kinds of exercise. One is aerobics, which we do as a form of walking, running, cycling. It should be resistive training exercise. Yoga not only helps in your stretching of your muscle, but it takes care of your brain also. Fourth thing is your balance training exercise, which is mandatory for every senior citizen, because in late age you have chance of balance problem and fall.
Active aging allows people to realize their potential for physical, social and mental well-being throughout the course of life and to participate in society while providing them with adequate protection, security and care when they need it.
The elderly should take care of their diet. Their diet should include of high protein, low carbohydrate and inclusive of the vitamins which are found in the fruits and the salads. The people who have the blood pressure, they should take lesser salt. As the elderly are staying home, especially during the corona period, the probability of deficiency of vitamin D is very high. They should get a supplement of the vitamin D, inclusive of calcium supplementation. Additionally, vitamin C and B complex lead to the immunity boosters, so they should take the B complex and vitamin C also. If anybody is smoking or taking regular alcohol, they should avoid smoking and alcohol. They should take adequate sleep and should go to the park for walking.
Good health in older age can be achieved by creating age-friendly environments that foster the health.
Aging is a new stage of opportunity and strength. Plan for it, take care of your nutrition, keep yourself busy for healthy and active aging. Kiran Bhardwaj, DD News.
So take care of yourself and the elders around you, and we wish you a good health today and in the days to come.
Well, moving to our next segment, that's called We Care. Well, there are many self-help groups in Himachal Pradesh who have changed their fortune with their visionary thinking. This is proved by the women of Mahi Panchayat of Solan district, where they are producing products from the leaves of pine. Various groups of women have set an example on how the village is changing under a project of the tourism department of the state. Here's a report.
Himachal Pradesh boasts of a variety of flora and fauna. The beautiful hills covered with snow speak of its beauty. In these forests, pine trees are found abundantly. Using the trees of benefit themselves, women of Mahi Panchayat of Solan district have become self-sufficient by producing various products with these pine leaves. In the year 2017, the Mahi Panchayat was adopted by the tourism department under their scheme of IDI-PT. The tourism department under the scheme helped train various self-help groups of the panchayat to make different types of products from the pine leaves. Today, several groups of panchayats are earning a good income by making many products from the pine leaves. According to Indra Thakur, the head of Ekta Self-Help Group, during the lockdown, the women of the group earned around 5 to 30,000 rupees through their products sitting at home.
ये चीड़ की पत्तियां जो है हमें वो जंगलों से प्राप्त होती है। आज तक हम कई जगह स्टॉल लगा चुके हैं इसके चीड़ की पत्तियों के प्रोडक्ट्स के, जिससे हमारी कमाई अच्छी हो रही है और कई तरह के प्रोडक्ट बना रहे हैं हम, जैसे कि चपाती बॉक्स, चिल्लर बॉक्स, पेन स्टैंड हो गया, फ्रूट बास्केट होगी, ट्रे होगी और बहुत से प्रोडक्ट है जो हम बना रहे हैं।
In rural areas, women who were confined just to the stove have today become a source of income to their families. The State Tourism Department is working round the clock to bring these women forward. Under the project, these women take some time out of their household chores and make products like bread box, flower pot, fruit box, purse, basket from pine leaves and sell them easily through various exhibitions, stalls and local vans.
ये पत्तियां जो हमें जंगल से अवेलेबल होती हैं और इन पत्तियों को हम गर्मियों में ही इकट्ठा कर लेते हैं। इसके लिए हम कलर भी यूज़ करते हैं जो हमारे घर पे ही अवेलेबल होता है, जैसे हमारी हल्दी का कलर, गुलाली कलर, इस तरह से हम इनमें कलर करके प्रोडक्ट्स को तैयार करते हैं।
Another such member of the group is Anita Thakur, who has so far earned around 3 lakh rupees through her beautiful product. Anita said that she is earning 20,000 rupees from these products and is also training other women.
जो ये चील की पत्तियों के प्रोडक्ट है, ये मैं कम से कम 3 साल से बना रही हूँ और ये प्रोडक्ट मैंने बना के अपनी सेल 3 लाख से ऊपर हो चुकी है। और जैसे कि मान लो कोई लेडीज़ें और सीखना चाहती हैं, मैं उन्हें भी ट्रेनिंग देती हूँ। और आजकल मैं जो ग्राम कौशल योजना के तहत चला हुआ है मुख्यमंत्री के, उसकी ट्रेनिंग दे रही हूँ। इससे मैंने अभी तक की जो मेरी सेल है, मतलब मैं मंथली 20,000 की हो जाती है। और मैंने इसमें अलग अलग प्रोडक्ट बनाए हैं, जैसे फ्रूट ट्रे होगी और फ्रूट बास्केट होगी, चिल्लर बॉक्स, पेन स्टैंड, चपाती बॉक्स, और इसमें काफ़ी उत्पाद आते हैं जी जो मैं बनाती हूँ और सभी लेडीज़ों को भी सिखाती हूँ।
With the hard work of these women of Mahi Panchayat, it seems as if the village is moving towards self-sufficiency. With bureau inputs from Vinod Kumar, Solan, Himachal Pradesh, DD India.
Well, after a look at that positive story, it's time now to call it a wrap. But before we say that, let's also take a look at the satellite images and weather in your city.
Change in low-level wind pattern into northwesterlies, reduction in moisture content and cessation of rainfall indicates that the monsoon had withdrawn from some more parts of Rajasthan, remaining parts of Punjab, entire western Himalayan region and Haryana, Chandigarh and some parts of Uttar Pradesh. Conditions are becoming favourable for further withdrawal of southwest monsoon from some more parts of Uttar Pradesh and Rajasthan and some parts of northwest Madhya Pradesh during the next 2 days. Scattered to fairly widespread rainfall and moderate thunderstorm and lightning very likely over Odisha, Jharkhand, Gangetic, West Bengal. And a look now at the temperature in your part of the country.
Well, that's all we have time for in this edition of Breakfast News. We hope that you all have a positive and a stress-free day today.
Absolutely, and in fact, to make your day more positive, what we have for you is that we're leaving you with some very nice glimpses of the Disney theme parks in the US. There in Los Angeles. Well, that was closed for months due to COVID-19 pandemic, but good news is that Disneyland is witnessing a gradual reopening across the US. Of course,
Nancy, that particular image, if when the children see, they'll be more than encouraged in pushing their parents to take them across. But you know, these are visuals that you need to enjoy and have a safe and wonderful day.
Absolutely, and thanks for being with us.